do is as we look up at the sky, imagine that every single thing, just like Miss Moore's question pointed to, just like Steve Jobs' ideas pointed to, everything starts from how we frame our stories. Right? Everything starts from how we frame our stories. So as you sit down, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, and then you're going to get to tell yours. Okay? So please grab a seat. So I was talking to Dr. Terry Harris at Rockwood, and I was telling him my story about how I came to start and be involved in this Gateway to Change movement. And he said, "Have you told the students that are actually in the movement your story?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, you need to go ahead and do that." So here it is. If you look up at the left, that's me as a little kid, and that's my mom right there. Right? So as a little kid, I grew up in West County. I went to Parkway. And to be honest, I'm just going to keep it real, be authentic. It is a very kind of like you're living in a bubble. For me, it was. I'm not saying it is now. I'm just saying for me and my experience.
It is now.
Okay. So living in a bubble is kind of difficult as a kid because it's kind of like the walls are real closed and everybody's thinking about a certain thing. And I started to think as a little kid, like there must be something more. So if you look down here, I wasn't that great at school when I was a little kid, but I was good at baseball. So if you see there, that's me in Japan. And so I got to be on these baseball teams. We got to go all over the world. We got to go to Japan. We got to go to Czech Republic. We got to go to Germany. There's me down in Thailand. And it started to open my mind to something. That people can be a different race, black, white, Asian, and their ideas might even be a lot better than mine. A lot better. I'll give you an example. In Japan, I got to live with people for 2 weeks in their houses. And in Japan, if you slurp the soup and you make noise, it's a compliment to the chef. Because in my house, it wasn't not just a compliment, it was disrespectful if you slurped your food. So I started to think about life a little bit differently. And think about the fact that different races, different identities, different backgrounds, it's not a negative, but it can be a positive. How many people can relate to that? Now, as I got a little bit older, I started learning from my grandmother and my grandfather. Now, the reality is that I had a lot of family die in the Holocaust. Now you say, why are you bringing that up now? It's because my grandma, right there, she had to literally escape from the Nazis. She lied about her age so she could go through Germany and go through Poland and find her way down to Israel. My grandfather's parents died as well. There he is, as a young man, making his way to Israel via boat. How does this relate? Why am I telling this story? So this is Israel, where they made their way down to Israel. This is the same, if you notice, the same exact picture 3 years later. So my grandfather came to this country, and he said, forget about all this killing and negativity and the differences should divide us. And he brought my mom and the rest of the family to this country that we live in now. And what he did is he started schools in different cities. So they moved to Dayton, Ohio. And my grandfather started a school to talk about community and togetherness and support. And then he would say, it's going well. And they would say, all right, we'll give you a raise. He said, no. I don't want a raise. I want to move to a different city and start a new school that connects people and talks about diversity and how African American and Jewish and Christian and Muslim people, they can actually be together and lift one another up and have synergy. And then he would do the same thing. And he moved to a different city. And they would do the same thing. And my mom, as a kid, was kind of just looking around, all right, I guess I got to make it. But they moved, and they were positive. And my grandfather dedicated his life to that notion. So if you notice here, there's my grandfather. So if you notice here, this is a jail cell. Now, why in the world does this crazy dude have a jail cell in the middle of his life story? You went there. I did go there. So this summer I was in Israel. And in Israel, my buddy was getting married, and we were standing on a rooftop, right? We're standing on the rooftop, and I'm not saying anything negative about Israelis. I'm not saying anything negative about Palestinians. I'm saying something positive about both. We sat on the rooftop, and we saw a rocket coming at us, coming at us, coming at us, a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer. And all of a sudden, they call it the Iron Dome. It came, and it blew this rocket up in front of our faces. When I say in front of our faces, it was probably about a mile away. It was scary. How many people would be a little scared of that? That was in July. 2 weeks later, I had the opportunity to go to South Africa. Now, in South Africa, used to be in better shape back in the baseball days. In South Africa, I got to visit Nelson Mandela's jail cell. How many people know about Nelson Mandela? The reason I bring up Nelson Mandela is twofold. First reason is he is an inspirational person. Second reason is this. Remember we talked about frames right there a minute ago? This is the window that Nelson Mandela looked at for 18 years. 18. How many people in here are 18 years or younger? Nelson Mandela sat there for 18 years, and he framed his life. And I stood there on the tour, and I was just looking at that window. Because he framed his life not about what negativity was going to come from being pissed off that I have to sit in this jail cell, but that I'm going to dream of peace, and I'm going to be a beacon of hope for my people and for people like us for years to come. The reason I have this last photo here is because I painted this for my grandma. And my grandma held this frame on her wall till the day she died. And if you notice here, it says life. And I kid you not, I put this together this morning, and I kid you not, I didn't notice that my mom's hand and this are parallel. The reason I bring this up is because when we think about the work that you all are doing as student leaders, and my friend, tell me your name again, you brought up the point about the work you're doing. Luke? Yeah. Luke brought up the point that you all are doing work that parallels this movement from yesteryear. So if you think about everything that you all are doing, ultimately everything is connected. And the rest of this day, you don't have to hear about Drew Schwartz's story. You're going to get to tell your own stories. Because Lee's story is connected to my story. When I get to hear Lee last weekend talk about his passion, that motivates me. We're all interconnected. All right? How many people does that notion that we're all connected, does that resonate with you? Okay. So I want to thank you, first of all, for letting me share my story with you. It's a story that motivates me to hopefully work with you and we empower one another. So thank you very, very much.